Okay, let me go over the Flex model in React Native. So when you're doing views or styling in React Native, just like React, there is a top-level component needed, and that means that some of the Flex properties won't really make sense to that one. So if you're just using a plain old view, you can put the flex value, which is how much. If you just put a number, it's the percentage from 0 to 1 that it's going to take up of the space. So I have this main view, and I have flex direction column, which is the default in React Native, even though normally it's in web it's row. And then you have, let's see, I'm putting a border on it so we can see it. So if I look at what this looks like now in the simulator, you can see the green border is going all the way around the entire device, and we can see that what it's taking up is the entire screen. So when we adjust the flex of this, it's not going to matter because it's the only thing that's going to be on this level. So we're not allowed to put another view on the same level because that's how React works. If I put a view on the same main top level, we would get an error. So we can't do that. So the flex is of the main root is never going to matter. So that is that. And then what does the flex direction column mean? Well, that means what direction are the children going to flow in when you just randomly put a child on inside of another component. So right now I just have two views, and they are right next to each other on the same level, and their flex is set at 5. So we can see from the outline of the borders right here that the width takes up the entire thing, and they are aligned from top to bottom. So if I altered the flex, and with that, they take up the entire height of the device. So if I change the top one to flex 1, you can see that it now is taking up 10% of the screen, and then the bottom one is taking up the rest of it. So the percentage of taking up the screen is going from up top to bottom wise, vertically, up and down, not whether it takes up the width of the screen. That's automatically 100%. So if we then say, okay, I don't want them to flow from top to bottom, I want them to be next to each other, I might change the root parent flex direction to row. So now the children are flowing from left to right, not top to bottom. And the space that they take up has switched. Now they're automatically taking up the entire height, but the percentage of what they're taking up is the width. So if we put 0.5 and 0.5, that's half. So they're each taking up 50%. And you can use that to create different combinations of grid layout. So right now I have like 3 columns. So let's see what would happen if I put a third column in there. Let's make the border purple. And let's see, just for experiment, I'm going to keep it 0.5 each. I'm not going to make it add up to 1. Let's see what happens. Flexbox, the algorithm automatically knows that, well, since they're the same and there's 3 of them, that just means they're taking up a third. We could have changed it to say 0.333, 0.333, 0.333, and it would have done the same thing. But it's smart enough that you don't need to do that. We could have actually just kept it at 1, and then that would have the same logic that there's 3 of them. Just give them all equal spacing. Okay, and then let's see. What else can we try? So right here in this text, in the first column, you can see that if the text is really long, it won't overflow over, it'll just wrap. So that's what happens to text. Now you can also see that these children all have their flex direction as column. That's why all the words in here, the column 1 and 2 and 3, the text is flowing downwards. So what if we change this one to row here? You can see that now it's flowing, instead of top to bottom, it's flowing left to right. And you can actually see that it's flowing off of the page. It's not constrained within the dimensions of this view. So if we didn't want that to happen, well, if we wanted just the words, we might say, okay, get rid of these, and then we type a bunch of words, and because they're just one text, it's going to flow down instead of go off the page. But as soon as we add a bunch of texts, then it will not flow. Texts themselves will not flow down, or sorry, wrap down, and so they will start going off of the page if you have it set to row. So let's change that back to column, and it flows down. Okay, so what else can we look at? So right now the heights are taking up the entire width. So let's say you wanted to take up only a specific height. So maybe we wanted this red column to only be 200, and then this one we wanted it to be 300, and this one to be 400. So we can then specify the actual height that it's going to take up. Okay, what else? Let's see what happens if we use a scroll view. So this is a built-in component provided by React Native. We import it, and I'll just copy and paste some code that I got from the documentation. Let's put it into our first column. Okay, so I got a scroll view, and I have a bunch of text in it. And let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, so the scroll view is taking up the entire height of its parent, which is this view, which is 200, and everything that cannot fit is scrollable. So I'm using my mouse, but this would just be a normal scrolling with your finger. And if you get to the bottom, it does the little snapback. Okay, that looks cool. So what if I take this height away? no height on the parent of the scroll view. Okay, so it's still taking up the 100% height because that's what it was supposed to do. And it's still scrolling like normal. Looks good. And if you put another scroll view in this middle column and the rightmost column, it would do the exact same thing. Let's try one more thing. What if we wanted this scrolling area, but then specific to the scrolling area, we wanted a button down here to when it was clicked, it did something specific to the scroll area. So we want it to just be down here, but also have the scrolling still there. So that would how would that layout work? So we might just take a button and make it be in the same view as the scroll view. So button is another thing built into React Native. So we might take that, and then we might say, okay, I want a button, but expected corresponding. Let's see. So what does a button do? We could read the documentation. We could see, button has on press, title, color. Well, let's just take that. That's good enough. We're not really going to put any functionality to it. And let's see what that just plain simple like that results in. On press. Okay, so it looks like the on press is actually required from a button. Okay, I just threw an on press in there real quick. Looks like that looks all right. So we put no styles really, but the button took up just the bottom part. It knew that it should take up the width, but if we scroll down, yeah, the scrollable view adjusts its height to make room for the button. I didn't have to specify any of that specifically. So I might have this button here that just clicks it and then makes the scroll go back to the top or something. Okay, so let's see. That looks good for now. We'll look at some more later. Until then, happy coding.